Hey, welcome back, Doc. This is episode number 20. Don't be one of the last Mohicans.
Leonardo da Vinci once said that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, and I agree. You see, the problem with the way that most consulting groups approach medical integration is anything but simple. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's expensive, it's complicated, and quite frankly, it's exhausting. Enough is enough. There are far too many amazing integrated clinics that are struggling. Well, I'm on a mission to change that. What I've come to find from over 5 years working with integrated practices is that simplicity really is the secret. The old saying of less is more is true. Through a streamlined approach, I was able to create multiple successful 7-figure integrated clinics, and now I'm going to show you how you can do the same. Join me as I share with you the secrets to successful medical integration and practice growth. Join me on a journey to greater sophistication through innovation. I'm Dr. Andrew Wells, and welcome to the Simplified Integration Podcast.
What's going on, Doc? It's great to have you back. So if you're listening to this and I sound a little different than some of my other podcasts, it's because I'm not in my normal podcast studio. I'm recording this during the coronavirus epidemic, and I'm away from my podcast studio, but I'm actually I'm sitting in the middle of a place called Lake Lure, North Carolina. I'm in my pontoon boat. There's no one around me. There's a couple fishing boats cruising by once in a while, so you may hear some boat engines in the background, but I came here to try to make the best of a really weird situation that we're in right now, and I thought this would be a really cool place to record some podcasts. Now, I had a different podcast topic in mind for this next episode, but my location actually got me thinking about a really cool topic. Now, right behind me is, if you're not watching this on YouTube, which you can, please go to YouTube and watch this episode because the visual is amazingly stunning. But right behind me, these mountains are where the final scenes of the movie Last of the Mohicans was filmed. I'm a huge Last of the Mohicans fan. I love that movie, and I love one of my favorite movie scenes of all time is the final scene, which happened right up there in those mountains. And that movie was filmed during a really interesting time in the U.S. So a lot of wars happening. The British were fighting the French, and American colonialism was at its peak. And the victim in those wars and that expansion were the Native Americans. People that have been here for centuries. They were killed in mass, lost all of their lands, and it's actually a really tragic story. And the movie centers around these two characters, a father and son, who are the last of this tribe of Mohican Indians. And so really, if you've never seen that movie, go watch it. It's amazingly powerful. But that got me thinking about, are there, so that tribe was completely obliterated and wiped off the map. And the same thing is happening right now in the stem cell therapy world. Now, the way it's been taught, as you probably know, and the way it's been operated for the last decade or so, is doctors offering it as a cash service. However, that market has become incredibly competitive. There are a lot of bad actors in those industries and a lot of doctors that have spoiled it for other physicians. But mainly, it's becoming really tough to compete. And so doctors who have been offering this as a cash service are starting to go out of business. They're losing money, they're not making money, or they're having to turn to other types of therapies to stay in practice. Just because that model doesn't exist. So here's the problem with that model is that there's only a certain percentage of people in your town who are looking for and are willing to pay several $1,000s for this type of injection. And so when I say don't be one of the last Mohicans, what I mean by that is if you're not adapting and changing that business model, you're not going to be in that business model not too long from now. There's another factor that's working against the Mohicans, or what I call the stem cell, cash stem cell doctors, is that insurance is very likely going to start covering this in the very near future. Now, if Medicare covers it and Blue Cross Blue Shield covers it, they're not going to be reimbursing you $5,000 per injection. Maybe they reimburse $500 or $800 or $300. And as you well know, if you're a chiropractor in an integrated practice, that's not enough to pay your MD and your overhead and your nurse practitioner. It just doesn't make economical sense to do that. So that business model, although it's still taught, I still teach it in some areas where I think it's appropriate in the US, but eventually that business model is going to die off. So unless you have some other way to supplement that business from a revenue standpoint, you're just not going to be able to do it. And eventually it's going to fall into the hands of the medical doctors when it's covered by insurance, and people are going to go see their orthopedic doctor for that type of injection rather than seeing an integrated chiropractor to do it. However, there are strategies that you can implement now that we've already implemented, that we're already teaching and putting into action, that will still keep you relevant not only this year but the years following. And the way we do that is by capitalizing on a patient's insurance benefits. So insurance is not going anywhere, Medicare is not going anywhere, Medicaid is not going anywhere. And so patients have insurance reimbursement to help them when they have health issues. And there are ways to use a patient's insurance to not only help them get better, but also make regenerative medicine a lot more affordable. And so we've completely pivoted our business model from the way we were operating a year ago to allow patients to be able to afford regenerative medicine, but also to keep your revenue levels and your case value high, so you can remain financially relevant moving forward. And so if you have any questions about how this works, so I did a whole series on this. If you go back and look at the 5-part series I did on the changes in integration, or the 3 paths of integration, it details this, goes over this in a lot more detail. If you're running a regenerative medicine practice and you're already experiencing pain and you know you need to change, shoot me an email. I'll send you some resources that you can use to get an idea of what the future of regenerative medicine looks like. You can email me at info@integrationsecrets.com. That's info@integrationsecrets.com. But I just wanted to, this is a really quick episode. I wanted to talk about this because there is a point when cash regenerative medicine is going to be irrelevant, just like the last of the Mohicans in that movie. So I don't want you to become that. I don't want you to get slaughtered or thrown off a cliff. I don't want that for you. It doesn't have to be that way. And again, if you have any questions or need some answers or need some resources to help you along that path, I'm happy to help you. If you're brand new to integration and you're thinking about getting into regenerative medicine, I caution you, before you jump off that cliff, at the very least, talk to me first so I can give you some tips on what's relevant in your area, your demographic, and how you can become successful with an integrated office and regenerative medicine. So hope you found this successful. If you get nothing out of this, go watch the movie Last of the Mohicans, and you can see where that was filmed right behind me on these cliffs in Lake Lure and Chimney Rock, North Carolina. So I hope you found this entertaining. If you're listening to this, go check out this episode on YouTube. I think you'll like the view. And hope you enjoyed this episode, Doc. I hope you're having a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. God bless.
Hey, innovators. Thanks for listening to the Simplified Integration Podcast. The fact that you're listening tells me that you're like me, someone who loves simplicity. And the truth is, those who embrace simplicity are some of the greatest innovators. So I hope you got a ton of value from what we covered on today's episode. Be sure to subscribe and share with other docs that you feel could benefit from greater sophistication through simplification and innovation. If you've got specific questions that you'd like answered on this podcast, or you've got specific topics that you'd like me to discuss, just shoot me an email at info@integrationsecrets.com. That's info@integrationsecrets.com.